The purpose of this segment is to show how to use scroll bars in Microsoft Excel to essentially continuously change, using a sort of slider bar, continuously change a variable that can be used to sort of dynamically change the view of a set of data in a graph, or this can be extended to other situations too, but this is the easiest way to demonstrate the principle. So by default, the tools for doing this are sort of hidden in Excel because they live in the so-called developer tab. And so you see in my list of tabs here, I don't have the developer tab. So the first thing to do is go to the File tab and go to Options and click on or choose the Customize Ribbon button here. And you'll see that the developer tab shows up here in the right-hand box, but by default it's unchecked, so we have to check that. Hit OK, and now when we go back, we have a developer tab with some additional tools. Now, what I've set up here is a series of x values and then two sets of y values, where y is just mx plus b. So y1 is m1 times x, and actually I have no intercept here, the intercept is 0. So you can see as I change m2 from 2 to, let's say, 3, slope of my y2 line changes. And so what we're going to do is install a scroll bar here to allow us to, in a sort of graphical way, change the value of m2, and the slope of the line will change accordingly. So we're going to go to the Insert button here, the drop-down list for Insert, and choose this form control here. It says scroll bar. And the way this comes up here is a little inconvenient, so we're going to make it, actually this is not the right one. I'm going to delete this. This is the one we want here. Scroll bar, this is the one we want. So I'm going to drag this out here, and now we have a slider here, and I'm gonna rotate this. Okay, so it turns out the shape of this thing dictates the way the scroll moves. So if we just elongate it in this direction and then make it narrow in this direction, now the scroll moves horizontally. So you have to right click on this thing to get the handlebars here. And so what I want to do now is basically assign the position, the horizontal position of the scroll bar here to affect the value in the cell E2. So I'm going to right click on this thing and go to Format Control, and in the Control tab there's a box here that says Cell Link. So I want to click on this and then click on my cell E2, and then there are boxes here for the minimum value and the maximum value. And it turns out that these the incremental change can only be integer units or higher. So you can't have the incremental change be less than 1. So if you need the incremental change to be less than 1, then you need to have kind of a dummy variable where E2 would be E2, the cell that we want to change by a value less than 1, would have to be the result of a calculation of the output of this scroll bar divided by, let's say, 10 or something like that. But for now, this incremental change of 1, the min and max values of 0 and 100 are fine. So if I click OK here, now this thing immediately is active. And so you see now I have in this cell 51, and if I move the position of the scroll bar over, I get 28. So it runs down to 0. So now the slope of my E2 line is 0. If I go over one spot here, for some reason its activity is kind of locked up here, but you can see how now the slope of my Y2 line is 5. And so you can add any number of these scroll bars, and you can make it really quite sophisticated in terms of controlling by controlling the step size, their incremental change, and the min and the max to do exactly what you want.